Okay, we are live. Well, welcome everybody. Good evening, good morning, hello, hello. Hi, Tracy. Hi. Okay, I would like to start this session with a welcome to country, which is to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm on and on which we are meeting virtually today. So I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present, and I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. So hello everybody and welcome. It's fantastic. It's been ages since we ran one of these. So my name is Danielle Stein-Fairhurst. I am a financial modelling specialist, and my job here today is to bring you different topics on different ideas and subjects that are useful for financial modelers. So financial modelling is my world. It's what I live and breathe, and that's what this group is all about. So today we are going to be talking about Excel. So Excel is the tool that we know and love, the one that we use all day, every day. And it's really hard to be a good financial modeler if you haven't got really good Excel skills. So Excel is such an important thing for us to focus on. So I am joined today by Traci Williams, and she is going to be focusing today on the formatting and the tools that you can use to make your financial models look absolutely fantastic. So I know that when I first started out as a modeler, I soon learned that people didn't really pay a lot of attention unless I made it look attractive. And so that's really what I'd like, what Traci is going to be taking us through today. So we are live on YouTube and we're live on Zoom as well. So if you're joining us on Zoom, you can just pop your questions in the chat. If you have any questions, you can put those on the Q&A section, or if you're joining us on YouTube, you can just pop your questions in the live chat there. So Traci, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this today. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Traci is based in, she's near Liverpool in the UK, and she runs a training company called Excel Ace. So she's an Excel specialist. So she tries to slip the word ace in wherever she can. We might hear the word ace a few times. So yeah, so we did a session for the Women in Financial Modelling group not long ago, which was fantastic. And so we are bringing a similar session out today. So yeah, thanks so much for doing it. Are you guys back to, I was going to ask you about face-to-face training. Are you back to face-to-face yet, or are you virtual?
I am open to do virtual and face-to-face, but most people still do prefer Zooms. Through lockdown, I changed most of my training to do 1 hour sessions, which makes it easier for people to digest a smaller amount, and it's far easier to deliver via Zoom. But next week I am going live face-to-face in with a customer. So I'm quite excited about that because it doesn't happen very often.
Yes, I only just recently went back to face-to-face. I've done 2 trips to Melbourne this year, and I just got back from Saudi Arabia, which is of all places to go for my first overseas training. I've been doing virtual in Hong Kong all week, so that's been lots of fun. And yeah, we're doing our very first meetup in Sydney actually next week. I think it is a week from today. I think we're doing a hybrid event, so that's going to be really exciting.
Okay.
Things are starting to get back face to face.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to see people.
Yeah, great. All right, so I will leave you to it, Traci.
Great.
Yeah, do feel free to jump in. I'm going to get that chat. Doesn't seem to be working right now, but I'll get that working. And yeah, I'll let you know if there's any questions as they come through.
Okay, fab. So am I okay to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fab. So I shall start sharing. Bear with me 1 second.
Yes, we can see your screen. Fantastic. Excel, brilliant.
Yes, of course. So hello to everybody watching. What I'm going to cover this morning is, or this evening, is some simple techniques for formatting spreadsheets. So I honestly think that with a spreadsheet, looking at this one right now, it's not even clear what the information is. So therefore the important information is not visible. It's not very clear to see, which I think is criminal. especially when there's so many simple techniques that Excel can throw the important information at you. And that's what some of these techniques are going to show you how to do. The first couple of things I'm going to go through they're not new, they're not anything terribly technical, but they are techniques that are available that I just don't see used very often. So I just wanted to kind of remind people that these are available and they're really easy to use and they're pretty cool. So the first thing I'm going to do with this data here, what we have is it's basically a list of sales. We've got a column for the date, we've got a column for the customer number, the customer name, the quantity, the unit price, and then the total sales and salesperson. But this spreadsheet looks hideous. So what I'd be doing with this before I could use it, I'm going to really whiz through this, by the way, because you all know this already. I would format the data to make it stand out. So I'd take the headers, I'd bold them, I'd center them, I'd wrap text. I would probably right click into format cells. I'd put some borders on, so outline, and then inside lines. I'd go to fill and I'd make it blue maybe, and then I'd maybe make the row a bit wider. Okay, so now my headers stand out nicely. Great. I would then look at this date column. Clearly, they are dates that need formatting. So I'd right click into format cells, into the number, the list of categories. We all know we can go into date, but I actually prefer to go straight to custom and make my own date format. So whatever's in this, we delete all of that and we use D's, M's and Y's to create our own format. So I'd use D space MMM space YYY. Oh, sorry, I missed an M out. I'd have 3 M's. So we have the 3-letter abbreviation for the word, the month. Okay, and then we'd
fabulous, fabulous. One of my favorites. Beautiful. Love it.
I love it. I see people a lot actually have a separate column where they type in the day of the week.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Instead of just putting the 3 Ds. So if I just very quickly format cells, so I could include there DDD and a space, so you've got the day of the week and the date as well, which is pretty cool. And let's leave that in, shall we? Sorry, I meant to say as well, if anybody's got questions, Danielle's going to help to let me know what they are.
Well, so I finally managed to get the chat working, so apologies, the chat wasn't working earlier, but now it is. So you can pop all of your questions in there.
Cool. So ask away if you have any questions, and Danielle will let me know if there's anything that I need to stop for, and I'll give you space at the end as well. So I formatted the date. This column here is quantity. So obviously we've got a minus figure there. So I'd format those so that they stand out. So I'd right click, format cells. I'd just go into number. I'd choose 2 decimals or no decimals even probably. And I'd change the font color to red if it's negative. I'm still not happy because I like my negative numbers to be in brackets. Okay, so I'll right click, go into format cells. The problem we have is that it doesn't give us the option for brackets. So again, we'll go into custom, but the trick
we're going to make that standard option. I do not know.
I know, please do. All we need to do is go into custom, and we'll just put the brackets in instead of the negative sign.
Lovely.
I have a debate with a lot of accountants though who don't like brackets. They don't even like pound signs or dollar signs, and they just want numbers. So it's each to their own, I guess, isn't it? So I'll click OK. So now our red number stands out. I'd probably format these values because these are currencies, probably the unit price as well, actually. Format cells. I'll go into currency. I'll leave it with pounds, otherwise I'll confuse myself. Change it to red for negative. Okay, and again, we've got the minus, so we can just go into and create our own custom style now. So this brings up the current selected format. So I can literally just put in the brackets, take out the ugly minus sign, and click OK there. Okay, so now
how did you people comment on the language of I'm doing some training for the US at the moment, and they call it parentheses, of course.
Oh yes, brackets.
Related into into American language.
Yes.
Robin's asked, Toby says, I've learned something new already. Thank you, which is good to know. That was a while ago, that message. Robin says putting brackets in accounting format is a nightmare. Any tips on this? Yeah, I don't think there's any quicker way of doing it other than that. You could, of course, do styles, which we'll talk about, and some, there are other shortcuts possibly. Do any other tips on brackets?
Only probably using a custom format maybe, which is what we've just done. I'm going to show you now how we can incorporate that with styles as well. Yeah. So I always say when it comes to putting the brackets in, it's a bit of a pain to set it up the first time as a custom, but then it's so simple to reapply it. So I always recommend doing that with every spreadsheet when you first set them up, for sure. Okay, so we've got this spreadsheet now looking bearable. I can use this now, but it took a little while, didn't it, to put all those different formats in. So what we could have used is these styles up here, and this is what I mean. This is not new. This has been there for forever. But people I don't think really understand how they work. So if I just click on this arrow here, you get more. So what you can do with these styles, you can see that one's called bad, but you can see this in this cell. When we hover over, it will show you how it's going to apply it. So these are basically predefined styles. So that one's called good, but it's green. That one's neutral and it's yellow. So these names are just to distinguish between them. It's not going to put the word neutral in or the word good. It's literally going to apply that formatting to the cells. So we can hover over any of these and see if any of them apply. So actually, instead of me having to manually have selected all of those formats, I could have just chosen one of these options at the beginning. So if I take these headers, what I could have done is just said, oh, make them all that style. So I've just chosen that bad style and it's put that in. So that was quicker than me putting all those individual elements in. Let me just undo that. But if we wanted it blue, we wanted that colour and that actual specific format, what we could do is create it that first time. But then when we pull down this menu here, at the bottom, we've got new cell style. So if I click on there, we give it a name. So I can call this headers. In fact, I'm going to call it TW, my initials, just so we know which is which, and header. Now, what happens is we could then click into format and choose our own format. But if you notice all these items here, so this has been formatted as a number, general, we didn't change that, but the alignment has been centered and wrap text. The font has been size 11 and bold. The borders are on left, right, top, bottom. The fill has been shaded. So all of those selections I've made in that cell are already included in that style. So if I just click OK, I'm saving a new style called TW header. And what happens is it appears at the very top there. So the next time I want to apply that format, I can literally just select that cell and it applies that format. So if that was the style I always wanted to apply, I can create my own styles up here. So this cell here with the date, I again can just select new cell style. And you can see that that's the number format selected. So I can call this date. I could call it TW date so it stands out. And click OK, and that also appears here. So if I had another date here, 1111, that will do. So that's the default date style. I can then apply my style, and it automatically, without having to right-click format cells, go into the custom menu, which is how we'd normally do it. Let me just show you how long-winded that would be. So we'd right-click the cell, go to format cells, we'd go into the custom menu, we'd have to scroll down to the bottom, and then we'd see our options here. So actually from creating a style, we can literally just select it, which makes it far easier.
We've got also the financial modelling, one of the financial modelling world champions on watching us. And
oh wow.
So he's reminded me that Microsoft Word has got an option in styles where you can select it and you can just apply and match the formatting. Wouldn't it be cool if Excel were to do that? That would be fantastic.
Okay. I mean, what you can do with these styles once they're created, so let's say I wanted this one, if you right click on it, you can actually modify it. So if you decide you wanted it a different colour, you could modify it, but you could also duplicate it. So here, this is going to be called header 2. I could format this and change the fill to be a yellow and click OK. So then we've got two options. I've got two now different colours of headers. So that's probably the half in between solution, I guess. Obviously, we could start with a brand new style. So if I select a cell that doesn't have any formatting on it, I can go to new cell style, and this is just all the default settings. I can literally just go to format and select all the different options there and call it whatever. So you've got a few different ways of creating a style. But what I love is just the option just to reapply all of these options very quickly. Let me just take this one and create a new style. So I'm just going to call this TW numbers. In fact, I'll call it currency. Okay, just so I've got the 3 options at the top. The other thing that is really useful about those styles is I could take all of those cells, and if I choose normal, so normal sets the whole thing back to the default options. So it takes it all back. So, you know, quite often if you've been messing with different cells and you put a cell on there, you formatted that as a date, and then all of a sudden you can't get it back. The simple way is just select the normal, because that takes you back to your default options. Okay, and the beauty of having those formats there is I can now highlight those and apply the header. I can highlight those.
I honestly think I'm missing a trick here. I am obviously not using styles enough. Styles, I've got to say, yeah.
To be honest,
underused. They are underused, definitely.
It's what your habit is, and I don't really use them very often. And I think probably one of the things that stops me from using them more often is the fact that they don't copy into the next spreadsheet. So you'd have to create them in every spreadsheet you create, which is a bit of a pain. And that's the thing why people don't like them.
Henry just made that point. He says, are they saved for the workbook only, or are they available in future new workbooks? No, unfortunately not. They are specific to the workbook. So what I often do is I have my own sort of formatting that I've created. So I often would copy the cover. We often with a financial model, you might have a cover page. And if you have all of your styles on there, if you copy that page into the new model, all of the styles will copy across, because otherwise they don't, do they?
Yeah. So that takes me perfectly onto the next subject, which is templates. Okay. Are there any other questions on anything we've looked at with styles?
No, we've been addressing them as we go through. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So if I was to take this sheet, so if I do a move or copy into a whole new book and create a copy of that. So this is now book 4, because I've created a few today. So you can see it has taken the styles. Okay, so what we could do with this, if this was our template, if this was something I wanted to create every time I wanted to record sales for a month, for a product, for a region, for whatever it might be, I could take this as my sample file. Let me delete all this stuff out. So this file could be my template that's already set up, formatted with the date column, formatted with the values, and what I could do. So I could obviously save this book 4 as sales template file. And this is what a lot of people tend to do, is they'll save an Excel file, and then every time they want to reuse it, they'll just open that, save it with a new name, and just put the data in. But that's risky, that you might forget to do the save as bit, and then you've overwritten your template, which always happens, doesn't it? So Excel gives you another option. And again, this is something that I don't really even use very often, which now I'm thinking, oh, this is great. It's a great option. So if you do save as, and obviously it takes me, my default is to documents. If I change the save as type to an Excel template, then it automatically changes the path that it's going to save it to into the documents folder and to a folder called custom office templates. And I can call this sales template, if I could spell. Where's my L? There we go, sales templates, and save. So what now happens, this is saved. If I close this file, when I now go to new, so you've got the blank work, which we normally do. These are all your office templates. And we could also, if we click into personal, ta-da! So that template that I've just created is sat there. Okay. If I double click that to open it, now what it's done is it's opened this not as a template file, which is an XLTX, I think is the file extension for a template. It's opened this as an XLSX file, so as an Excel workbook, and it's called it Sales Template 1. So it's already saved a copy of the template, so you don't have that fear or that danger of overwriting your template. So it's a pretty cool way of doing it, I think. And I do quite like the idea, because you've got all of your styles and your custom formats already saved in this file. And you don't, so obviously I've got them already applied to these cells. If I type in -1,000 in there, it's already applied to some of those cells. You don't even need to do that, because you've got your style, so you could just reapply that style simply to wherever you need it within the spreadsheet if need be. So that's how you'd use the templates, which looks really cool, doesn't it? And I think, again, when I first saw them, I thought, wow, well, how do I do it now? How I live this long without them? And I think I came to the conclusion that there is that risk of overwriting the file. So that's really the saving grace on it. But one of the downsides of having the template is that it's saved to your machine, because it saves to the custom that custom office templates, which is on your specific machine. So it then gets difficult to share with other people, which is kind of the point. If I go into new as well, you can see it appears at the top here and you can pin it and stuff like that. So it is easier if it's just you using them, but it would get more difficult if you wanted to share them, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you share the file, don't you?
Yeah. And I think that's how people use that already. So I don't know whether this template is actually, it's good. I like it. But yeah. Has anybody got any thoughts or comments? Anybody using that already?
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody has a solution for that possibly. And this is what's so fantastic sometimes about these forums. We get different ideas from different people, which is great.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea for how to share templates, I'm sure Neil Blackwood has got an answer for everything, and possibly Mike Thomas as well. Oh, great. That question got answered. So we've got people answering each other's questions. So that's
perfect.
Great. We're all good. Let's keep going. Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. The other great thing you've got with templates is when you go into new, you've got all of these office templates that have been pre-prepared for you. I am always asked about Gantt charts, and I never tell anyone to build their own. I always tell everybody to look at Excel's template Gantt project planner, which is really cool. I'm not going to go into any detail on this, but if I literally open it up, you can see. And it's literally, you can then delve into how it's built. It's built using a combination of data validation, conditional formatting, and formats. And it's so cool.
That format alone would take me hours to get the conditional formats lined up. So you may as well just reuse it.
Yeah. So all you can then do is just manage your rules and just change your colours or change your ranges. And it's a brilliant starter. So that's another ace. I said it. It's another ace
Bingo!
Template. We should do that bingo, shouldn't we?
Ace bingo.
So any other questions on templates at all?
Mike says the thing with templates is that it can sometimes take you longer to rip out what you don't need. So yeah, I guess that's always the challenge. So if you use one of the predefined templates,
Yeah, and maybe even if you didn't have anything in any of the data, but you had your custom formats set up and your styles, get off. You had your styles set up.
If you use one of the predefined ones, pull out what you don't need can be time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Of course. Sometimes I've looked at them and think, oh, that would be really cool. And then exactly that, you look and think, oh, I don't need that. And I don't need that. I'll just start again.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So let me get rid of that sales template one. So get out of there. Okay, right. So we're going to move on now to looking at conditional formatting and using emoji. This is the exciting bit, I think. Because I do think this is potentially going to be new to some people, or there's some new things. So I've got this data for this, and this is a very, very simple list of scores out of 100 for all of these B names. They were quite difficult to pull out all those B names. So again, as I said earlier, it will be criminal for this spreadsheet not to throw at me all those people who have passed the test. Let's say they've got to get 75 or more to pass the test. So right now, I've literally just got to scroll through every single one to find the people who have passed. So obviously, we can use conditional formatting. So if I just highlight all of these, I'm going to whiz through this. Everyone knows about conditional formatting already. So literally going to conditional formatting, I'm going to put in an icon set. Do we love these icon sets, by the way? Do you remember back in 2007 when you woke up and looked at this and you're like, oh, look at all these icons? It was like Christmas. And I was still loving them.
The traffic lights. We used to be so excited by traffic lights.
Still am. In 2010, do you remember they brought us the gold stars? So literally, I again fell in love with conditional formatting all over again in 2010 because we got some little gold stars and I was delighted. And then every year, well, every 3 years when they brought out a new version, I'd be itching to see what our new shapes and our new icons would be. And you know what? Nothing. We've had nothing new since 2010, which does upset me greatly. So we're going to come to that. So let's go back to our gorgeous conditional formatting with our icons. So I could apply these symbols. Okay, so I've put them in simply. The slight problem I do have conditional formatting is that when we choose from these icon sets, we don't really understand what rules, what are the rules that have been applied here. So we've got green ticks for these, and we've got yellow exclamation marks, but that might not be hitting our actual criteria. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into conditional formatting, into manage rules, and into the icon set rule and edit the rule, and I can see exactly what rules have been applied. And this is a weird thing. So it's given us a green tick when the value is greater or equal than 67%. Now, what that means is if it's 67% of the column total. Now, I would like that just to be a number. So I'd like it to give me a green tick when it's greater than 75, the number. I then want it to go yellow when it's greater or equal to, and again, a number. Top tip, always change your type first because it resets your value to 0. The number of times I put the number in, then change the type, I have to do it again. So I'm going to make it yellow when it's less than 75 and greater than 50. And then I'm going to make it go red when it's less than 50. So if people have got a red cross, they failed. Okay, so I'll click OK now. So it should change the icon slightly and put them in where they are. So we all know and love conditional formatting. We all know that when we use a filter, we can then filter by color, and we can also filter by our cell icon, which is really cool. So I can say, show me everyone who's passed. Da, there's all our green ones. And it just makes it slightly easier than having to go into the number filters and say filter by anything greater than. It's just more visual, isn't it, with those green ticks. I could also do a sort by those green ticks and sort it by the cell icons. And obviously, if I give this to somebody, they can see instantly which ones are passes. Okay, so love it. My only issue with Microsoft is that they haven't given us any new little icons in forever, which does upset me. And then I was thinking, what do you want? What are you missing? What would you really like? And I thought, I'd really like to have a smiley face, a crying face, and a neutral face. That's what I'd love. Okay, or a thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, so what we can include in spreadsheets these days is emojis. Okay, so what we could do is if you press on your, I'm just going to put them over here for now. So in fact, let me go up to the top. In cell K3 there, I'm going to put in the emojis. So on your keyboard, you just press the Windows key, which is normally about bottom left on your keyboard. So the Windows key and a full stop. And it pulls up your whole emoji options, which is just phenomenal. So you've got all of these different tabs. These are your commonly used. See, I've got birthday cake on there. Don't know why. You've got your faces. You've also got a scroll bar down here. So you've got literally every emoji ever. You've also got these ones with the heads. You've even got your skin tones you can choose from. You've got all of these different options. There's loads. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to go back and I'm going to put in a smiley face into that cell. I'm then going to click into this cell here, and I'm going to do the Windows key and full stop again to get my emojis. And I'm going to choose my neutral face, and then I'm going to click into the next cell, Windows and full stop again, and do my little crying face. Come on, crying face. Oh, I've got a few crying faces in there. Right, sorry, bear with me. Windows key, crying face. Okay, there he is. Okay, so I've got my lovely emojis now. So I can use those emojis that are there within an if formula that I can put into this column. So although I can't amend my conditional formatting to include them, I've got a workaround. And I find with Excel, it's always a case of tricking it into doing what you need it to do. Okay, so here I'm going to use an if formula to include these different emojis. And the easiest way to do it is to give each cell a name range. So I'm going to give that cell a name range called happy. I'm going to call that cell okay. And I'm going to call that cell sad. Okay, everyone happy with name ranges? I'm assuming. If you're not using name ranges, use name ranges, they're amazing. So in this cell, I'm going to put in a nested if formula. So I'm going to do if this cell is greater than, I struggle with which way that sign goes. If it's greater than 75, then I want you to put and use F3 to get the list of name ranges. I want to put the happy emoji. If B3 is greater than 50, then an F3 again to get our emoji list. I want it to say okay. And otherwise, I'll have sad, please. Put sad in. And then we need 2 close brackets. Okay, so there is our emoji. So our number is between 50 and 75, so it should be the neutral. I can just fill that all the way down. And then obviously that was 97, so that one's happy. This one has only got 2 and he's sad. Okay, so I've now got emojis and I'm a little bit happy.
Love it. Great.
They're in there. The problem you have with the filter is that it doesn't recognize them as a cell icon. So the filter by color is still grayed because it doesn't recognize them, but we can still apply the normal filter by them. It doesn't recognize them as anything else, so it gives us text filters. So we can't do anything snazzy with them, but we can at least still select them. So they are there.
Asking where are the colorful emojis?
Where are the colors? This is my other bugbear. If you're using Excel desktop, no colors, I'm afraid. If you use Excel online, all color. Yes.
Oh, that's how we get it. Cool.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of a workaround we could use. Oh, let me not digress. Hang on. So that's our if formula where we've got the happy, the okay, the sad using the name ranges. We could obviously use any emojis there we wanted. So we could do with a thumbs up, with an okay sign, with a thumbs down. We could use that way as well if we wanted to. So that's our if formula. If you're happy and comfortable with if formulas and nested if formulas, that works great. But another option we could use is that lovely custom format that we've just seen as well. Okay, so if I choose this cell and I say equals B3 and I pull in the value there from B3, the value of that cell is now 68. So I could format that cell and tell it how to make that text appear. Okay, so if I right click and format cells and I go into the number tab and into custom, so obviously we have general there, I can type in my own custom format. Oh, I'll tell you what, before I do, what I'm just going to do very quickly is I'm going to put in all 3 emojis together. So I'm going to put them all to one cell. Okay, oops. Just out of interest as well, if you are in your emojis and you want a specific emoji, let's say you want a pie, say a pie emoji. If you literally start typing the word pie, it narrows down the emojis to what you just searched for, which is really cool. So that looks like it's a jigsaw piece, puzzle piece. And what's that one? A dumpling. I don't know how it's back to dumpling. Who knows? But it saves you having to scroll through and search for everything. Okay, so we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so I've got all these 3 emojis in. What I'm going to do with those is I'm going to copy them out of the cell. So just Control-C, highlight and Control-C. Okay, when I go into the custom format now, into custom, I can start typing the custom format that I need. So I am literally going to start typing in square brackets, greater than 75, greater than 75, and then click, let me just, yeah, that's right, isn't it? So yeah, I always press shift with the square brackets and get the curly brackets. So it should be in square brackets what your criteria is. And then we will do the open speech marks. I'm just going to do paste to paste in all of those emojis. And I'm going to leave the happy one in. So delete the others and put close speech marks. Okay, so we're saying here the criteria is greater than 75, put this emoji. We then separate it with the semicolon. And then we put our next criteria, which is going to be the square bracket 50, greater than 50 even, and then the close square bracket, and then the open speech marks, and then we can paste in the emojis again and leave the neutral one in, and then a close speech marks, and then we need another semicolon, and then we don't need to put the third criteria in, we can just put in the crying face with an open speech mark, sorry, and a close speech marks. So this should work. So when I click OK, oh, hang on, I've put a curly bracket in, see? I'm good at that. Okay, so there it is. So I can just switch that out with a square bracket.
Yeah, Raina's just suggested that you could actually do it in Excel and then you could copy and paste it. That might be quicker.
Yes.
But the way you've done it is you just typed it straight out, which is great. Wow. David says far out.
I think as well, when you're typing it straight into that custom format, it's tiny, that box, and you can't make it any bigger. So it is difficult to see and distinguish those curly brackets from the square ones. And I'm so bad at putting the curly ones in. So typing it in Excel, it does make sense to do that. Yeah. So I can copy that all the way down. So we just make sure these are the same each row, so it's worked perfect. Now, one extra thing we could do with that custom format, because those colours do upset me because the colours don't come through. So this isn't brilliant. This is kind of a little hybrid, but we could extend our custom format. So if I right click there and into custom, so there's our custom format. What we could do alongside each one, we're going to use some more square brackets or curly ones if I do it wrong. So we could at the beginning put an open bracket and what colour we would like that to go. So alongside.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So open. So that one's going to be yellow with an O in it, and that one is going to be
when you
red.
Finish that one, are you able to just copy the string and just pop it into Excel so we can see it a bit closer, just to make it
Let me just
finished?
Copy that. So if I click OK, ta-da!
Yes,
there is.
Yeah, just so people can take note of that.
Yeah, wants to see that.
Right.
So if I paste that all the way down, so the yellow ones are not easy to see, so I tend to just put a black background on those. Yeah. So they're still not the brilliant colours you get on an emoji, but it's more colourful than not.
Background.
Yeah. And the other brilliant thing about having that after you've created it is I could now make that its own style, and I could call that my emoji.
What's it good?
So now if I had a number 99, which we know should give me the smiley face, I can just apply that to it. So that's good.
Fantastic.
So I kind of and again, those emojis, you can't use them with a cell icon and stuff like that. So that's a big bugbear for me. But it gives me the opportunity of using the different icons than just the standard conditional formats and icons that you've got. I mean, as I say, these are brilliant, but we could use, I've done it where I've used champagne, cake and broccoli in an example, but all those emojis you've got, you can use. So you can make things stand out a lot clearer. You can make it more, you can probably even use an ace. I'm sure there's an ace emoji, isn't there? Let's see if there is. Let me just find it. If I type in ace, there isn't one. How very rude. So we can't use an ace at all.
You should see. I'll send you some of the. I don't know if you're able to see the chat, but there's some pretty funny messages in the chat. So someone says they've escaped from Doctor Who. Wow, that's great.
Just another couple of uses as well for custom formats is I had a client last week ask me, how do I get the degree symbol? So they're a chemical company. So how do they get the degree symbol? So there's obviously a keyboard shortcut. So you could enter, hold down the Alt key and keep it pressed, and then type in the number 0176. And you'll see there that the little degree symbol has just appeared in that cell. So I'll press enter. So obviously I could then type in 20C. So that then appears as 20 degrees centigrade. So obviously once you've created that, you have to remember every time you're typing in that you've got to hold down Alt and 0176 for the degree symbol to appear. So it's a bit of a faff to put in using the Alt shortcut. Obviously you've got as well insert and symbol, and you can find it in there as well. So that's another option to do it. But if it's something that you're going to use regularly, then you might as well create a custom style, a custom format, or even a style. So I'm just going to delete that from there. So I'm going to right click and go into format cells, into custom, and then in here we could literally put in some hashtags for whatever the number is going to be, and then hold down Alt 0176, literally type it in again there to get the degree symbol, and then put the C. So what then happens when we formatted that cell with that format is I type in 23 and press enter, and it automatically includes that degree in centigrade. And again, I could then give that its own style, and I could call that Celsius, centigrade, or whatever. Why can't I spell today? It's because you're watching me. So now going forward, I can just put a 23 in there and just apply that format to that cell. Okay, so we could do that with centigrade, we could do it with Fahrenheit. So obviously Fahrenheit, if I just go right click custom, go into the custom format, I can literally just change that C to an F. And then again, we could give that its own style. It just helps us to reapply it basically. I'm just trying to think what my other example was. If anyone is doing any work with measurements, you know, when you wanted to put something is squared, a squared measurement. So if I put a 5 there, say that was 5 squared, you know how you have the little 2. So I could put 5 squared, and then I could format, I could right click the 2, format cells, and I could use the superscript. Oh,
kind of fiddly, isn't it? Yeah. I do that a lot.
So this is a bit of a faff. I'm not doing it right. It's a bit of a faff because you've got to format the specific number 2 in every cell, so it's not easy. So if you're going to have a column where you're going to put the measurements in, you want them all to be squared, then what we could do is put in the 5, and then we can use, again, there's a keyboard shortcut, which is Alt. If I hold down Alt and 0179, no, 8. 0178. Hang on, let me do that properly. Alt 0178. So there's your little 2. So that now I've included that too. So again, I can create a custom format. So in format cells, into number, into custom. And again, I'd put a 0 in for representing a number, and then type in the Alt 0178, which includes the 2, the squared. And click OK. So now if I just put a 6 in, any number I put in with that format is going to be squared.
A list of those little shortcuts. So we've just got a question about could you write the format for the Celsius? Maybe I've done what those shortcuts are.
So the degrees, so it's just the degree symbol, not the C. You've got to put that one in yourself. That is 0176. 0176. So that is there it is. So that's that one. This one with the squared is 0178, and then 0179 without a 4 in it is cubed. Okay, so if I copy that in there, if I just go into that custom, I can change that and type in, oh, where's it gone? So if I take that 2 out, I can hold down Alt and 0179 because that's cubed. Make them a bit bigger so you can actually see them. So I think, Danielle, you've got a copy of this completed spreadsheet with all of these custom formats created, which I think you can share. So if anybody...
I'll make that available to everybody who registered for this session.
Fab. Because in there, it's got all the completed... all these custom formats already created in there, so you can just go and steal.
We can just copy them and pretend it was ours.
Always. Okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to share today. So are there any other questions that we haven't looked at?
Thank you so much, Tracy. There is one question from Toby. He said, I often have trouble styling my data for tables, charts, etc. Do you have any tips or style guides to quickly make data look presentable. For example, color coordinated headings and subheadings. My tips are really just about, paying attention to your colors, make sure that the colors go with each other, and to think about your logo. So if you put your company logo on, just make sure that it kind of goes together. You don't need to, my tip is you don't have to use the standard. You can actually find the actual colors and match those. There are a lot of websites like Adobe and others have color palettes, so you can actually use a color palette picker that can help you to find good colors that go with each other. Any other tips from you, Traci?
I must say, I am not terribly creative either. So I am really typical, and I would tend to use these kind of shades. So we've got a darker shade, you've got a lighter shade of the same color. So I can tend to get guided by the color palettes. And I just tend to not try not to use too many colors. So I would tend to, so like you can see on here, I've highlighted the headers because they need to stand out. I would always have sort of dates formatted in a certain way, but in the rest of this data here, I haven't used a great deal of colour. I tend to use borders and things like that. And really, it's probably when you get into things like dashboards and charts and tables and things that you really need the colours to stand out. But for me, it's about probably including the icons or the background fills and things on conditional formatting to make the data stand out, rather the significant data, rather than all of the data making it look pretty as a whole, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Neil says use styles to standardize your input cells. Yes, definitely, having all your inputs. So it's all about the the difference between functionality, making sure that you draw attention to what needs to be drawn to, but also making it look attractive. So both of those things are important. Althea says you can use a theme under page layout, so you can actually change your themes, which will change all of your color options. So that can kind of make things look a little bit less standard. Yeah.
And you get all these color palettes, so it defaults to the top one, but you could choose any combination of any of these. So if I just show you what this means, if I choose the red violet, next time I look at my colors, they're all the red violet shades. So again, if you've got sort of a blue and pink sort of logo, you might be best to switch that color palette. So they're your suggestions already. Saves my brain having to think about them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great ways of very quickly coming up with different ideas and different ways, because I don't know about you, but you can lose hours just fiddling around with formatting. So some of these have been really helpful to save time, so that you can focus more on your numbers and getting your numbers right.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
We've got a few minutes still, I think. David's got a question, says, can you use picture references like you did with the emojis?
You can, but it's not quite as easy, is it? I think you've got to, you can, but it's not as straightforward.
Yeah, it would be,
I think your picture has to be put into a cell, and then the cell has to be named.
I've seen some, Chandu's got some YouTube videos on how to do that. He's got some dashboards. He did one with years ago with the cricket players, Indian cricket players, and he put in pictures. So that would have been prior to 365. So it was just using kind of standard there.
Yeah. I've done it with signatures as well. So if you chose the offer pick list, the salesperson, it would include their signature at the bottom. So you kind of have to put the images into a specific cell, and then you give that cell a named range, and then you can call that name range. So it's not quite as simple as the emojis, but it's a similar process. Give it a name range and call it.
Yeah, similar thing. Neil says, don't forget to mention Format Painter double click.
Yes.
So when you double click, it remembers the Format Painter.
Yeah, and I saw something before or earlier this week. So if I was to copy that, no, in fact, I'm not going to tell you because I can't remember it I can't remember it completely. But if I was to highlight that one, Format Painter, and paste it in there. Do I need to paste it again?
So double click. Yeah.
So format painter.
Yeah.
So what does the double click do?
Oh, it just remembers it so that when you so normally you paste only does it once. Sorry. Whereas if you double click, it remembers. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I had 100 in there, 100 in there, and 100 in there, so you do format painter once. Oh, get off. Painter once on there, and you can click on there. It pastes it to the one
again. Yes.
Double click it.
Yeah, it will remember it. Like Control V, Control V will repeat it.
That's right. The exciting thing I found actually this week that I've using quite a little bit is, when you wanted to copy the whole sheet, and you can right click and do move or copy, and then to which book and copy and all that kind of stuff. I discovered that if you hold down Control, you can just drag the sheet.
Yes, love it. Yeah,
I didn't know that one.
A good one. Okay. All right. I think that's about all we've got time for. I don't think there's any. I think we've covered all of the questions. Thank you so much, Traci. That was absolutely fantastic. Every day is a school day, says Mike. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody for contributing. It was fantastic to hear all of your thoughts. And we had so many amazing Excel experts on the line who've been able to help out and contribute to everybody. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Traci, especially. That was absolutely amazing. I learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody else did as well. So I think we've got quite a few coming up. So I look forward to seeing everybody again soon. And I will get the recording and the files out to everybody in the next day or two. So thanks, Traci. Was there anything you wanted to mention before we any other sort of ACE references that you'd like to add?
Can I say ACE one more time? Is that what you mean? No, just thanks very much for having me. I'm on LinkedIn, Traci Williams, Traci with an I, Traci. So if anybody wants to connect with me, please do, feel free. I love speaking to more people who love Excel.
Yes, your energy and enthusiasm is absolutely infectious. So thank you so much, Traci. All right.